Welcome, Friday, January 17th, year of our Lord 2025. We are on episode 15. Welcome.
I feel a world of deceit. Telling the truth is a revolutionary act.
100%. Telling the truth has definitely become a revolutionary act. And it's important that we tell the truth and that there is alternative media out there. The only thing I'm upset with is that I didn't start sooner, to be honest with you. I just hope everybody had a good day today. I hope everybody's feeling good and healthy and had a prosperous week. My apologies to all the money that gets destroyed by our government. Okay, all the money that they took from you this week. I apologize for that. I certainly did not vote for any of that nonsense. And maybe listening to this program, you will stop voting for that nonsense as well. So, I want to start out with Biden taking laps during his final farewell speech. Okay? He's taking laps and credit for the Hamas and Israel ceasefire deal. Okay? Now, every time I seem to check my sources, it's back and forth. 1 minute they have a deal, the next minute they don't. Thank you, Yvette. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you for joining. And please, if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free. So, clearly, I believe the deal is because Trump is coming back, right? Now, look, I give Trump credit where it's due. And even the negotiators for Israel even agreed that, Trump's guys are, clearly making the difference with the Hamas and Israel deal. And I really hope that peace can come of this. Now, last I seen, the Israeli cabinet just voted, the military cabinet also voted for the deal. So it looks like it could go through. There's a lot of hardliners over there. And so we would like to see peace. Libertarians love peace and prosperity and trade, right? We don't look for reasons to go to war, right? We try to avoid them at all costs, but we will defend ourselves, right? That's being a libertarian. You defend yourself when you're attacked, right? But what we don't do is steal citizens' money to give it to foreign countries, right? We don't believe in that stuff. It's not in the Constitution. And I have a rule. If it's not in the Constitution, we shouldn't do it, right? So, Biden was taking laps for that, and I believe that... Oh, thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's an old school Mickey shirt, and before Disney went woke, so I just wanted to bring back something old school. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Biden, the other day with his farewell speech, was also talking about the Statue of Liberty. And I really thought it was ironic because his entire presidency was about anti-liberty, anti-choice, okay, personal choice, anti-personal economic freedom, right? Liberty is about freedom and making choices, right? It's not about having government do stuff for you, right? A lot of Americans have confused freedom with free stuff, right? Government is not here to give you free stuff, right? All those programs that we pay into, or maybe it's past tense for you, and you paid into, right? You did not voluntarily pay that stuff, right? You paid it through force, right? And you paid into systems that were lies and failures, okay? And so I would have rather you be able to take your money instead of giving it to the government. See, when you give money to the government, right, what it does is it's like giving yourself a transfusion. So you pull blood from this arm to give it to this arm, and in the middle, you spill half the blood, more than half, right? Because there's an institution that facilitates the transfer. So there's a real cost to it. And so the cost is your freedom, right? If you had taken your Social Security money, your Medicare money, Medicaid, Obamacare, right? All of these programs, right? And put it in the S&P, the Dow, if you bought gold, if you bought silver, if you bought real estate, right? You would be so far ahead, okay? 25 to 35% ahead had you not been stolen from, okay, by the government. And so too many Americans seem to have forgotten the spirit of liberty, and that's what this channel is about. That's what Brew Media is about. That's what I want to restore in this country. Hey, Amy. All we know is Biden didn't write or even know anything he said. Well, it's funny you said that, Yvette. Because Biden, he just gets a piece of paper and, he just, I guess, reads off the sheet. But, they go over it with him and all of this. And it's just sort of laughable that, that he's talking about freedom as they're going to kick us off of TikTok, which dovetails into my next story. Let's see here. What are you guys saying? Also, he decided not to do anything to help save TikTok. He opted out to leave Trump to fix it, along with Los Angeles. Well, let me go right into TikTok. I'm glad, Raymond, that you brought that up. Okay, TikTok is just one of the thousands of examples why democracies are horrible, okay? And in many ways, the two-party system is just as bad, okay? Because if somebody, now you can win office with less than 50% and complete rule the other side, right? Somebody like me, a libertarian, right? I'm used to losing, okay? So all of these laws and regulations that everybody is voting for, taxations and tariffs and all of this stuff, right? Let me opt out, right? I didn't vote for it. Allow me to opt out. But again, I get the punishment, right? It's my personal information. Now, I just got on TikTok a week ago, right? For Brew Media. I just got on. Okay? I'm over 400 subscribers already. Okay? In a week. Literally in a week. Okay? I'm hitting over there. People like my message. I'm spreading the message of freedom. Why shouldn't I be able to spread the message of freedom on that site? Why? Why limit my speech? It makes no sense. I am not responsible for the speech of other people. But again, if I don't agree with your speech, I would still defend it, right? Now, maybe you're not on TikTok. Maybe you don't care, right? But today, they go after something I care about. Tomorrow, they're going to go after something you care about. Wouldn't you want somebody like me defending you? The founders created government to secure their rights and leave them alone. Okay, this has to be said. Okay? A lot of Americans today, okay, use government as a weapon to steal their neighbors' rights and give stuff to them, right? So they're using government to steal from the neighbor to give to themselves. I believe if the founders were alive today, there would be no tar left for roofs. There'd be no tar left for the roads, right? They would be tarring these people in government, okay? For all this theft that is going on and loss of freedom, right? And let me tell you, everything the government steals, it's always national security, right? Now, what is it about TikTok? Because there's other social websites I can go on right now that are actually owned by China, right? So, it's because they want the data. Government, see, right now, if a Republican or a Democrat calls Elon, right, he's going to give the information to Trump, right? If Zuckerberg wants to, if Trump wants information from Zuck, he's going to give it, right? That's what the government wants. The government wants control of these sites, okay, to, be able to watch and spy on us. This is what the government's been doing since even before 9/11, but really kicked up after 9/11, right? Now, I want somebody to tell me why I should not be spreading freedom, the message of freedom, sound money, Constitution on TikTok. Why? Can anybody tell me why I shouldn't be allowed to do that? It's ridiculous. And you know what? There's a lot of other people that are spreading that message on there. And the best way to, change the world is through speech, right? More speech. Speech is disinfectant to lies, right? And so, hi, Jim. Is there a Jim here? Okay, I don't see it. I don't see a Jim. Okay, whatever. Okay, so, hey, Jim, I don't know. So, anyway, please, subscribe, like, and go to my socials. Go to my YouTube. Please subscribe on there. Like, check out my videos. I have a lot of videos on there. Okay. Hey, Jim. Sorry, brother. I didn't see you on there. Okay. So now Biden, in his, he's, patting himself on the back for the economy. He's patting himself on the back for the Hamas deal. Well, he was also patting himself on the back for being in government for 50 years. Okay? Now, listen. Nobody... Hey, Jim, I appreciate that. Give me a chance. Look, I'm a libertarian, right? I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. Over my long lifespan, I have voted for Democrats. I have voted for Republicans. But in my opinion, they've both left the coop. But I respect, not all of them, but a nice portion of them have left the coop, in my opinion. Okay? So what I talk about is the Constitution, sound money, free economic stuff. And trust me, you can question me on stuff. And, that's right. First Amendment, protected speech. Second Amendment. I love all my amendments. How about this, Jim? If one of your people that you support attacks an amendment, okay, I don't support it. Let's just go there, right? And you can debate me why that amendment should be destroyed, right? But don't tell me it's for national security, some other bullshit, because that's all it is. Bullshit, right? So, 50 years of Biden, and he's happy about this. Now I did the math. I actually sat down and did the math. And when you subtract Biden as a kid and a teenager, and when he went to law school, okay, he might have spent at most 5 years in the private sector. Okay? Now, if you ever notice, when Biden ever campaigned, every campaign he's ever done, he never once talked about where he worked. He always talked about where his parents worked, right? Because he's never had a job in the private sector, okay? He's only had 5 years. So what experience could he possibly, good for you, Julie, using flashcards to learn your amendments. Yes, and teach your kids them. This way, when they see the government taking something from an amendment, they might have the cojones to push back. So, he's always talking about his parents' work, his father working in the steel mill or the coal, whatever it was, whatever story he invented. But what used to be, right, when you went into government, okay, you used to have a second job, right? And you used to only stay maybe 4 or 5 years, 10 at the most. Today, people go in government and they're there their whole life, right? They're there until they literally chronologically freeze on stage, okay? And we see this in both parties. One of my first programs that I put out, okay, was about a Republican congresswoman in Texas who was missing for 6 months, okay? And why was she missing? Well, she went senile. They found her on the street babbling to herself. She's in an old age home. And just like the Democrats had Joe Biden, they faked Joe Biden's illness, they kept this woman. Why? Because they needed her vote. I mean, this is, if you're a Republican, right, just like if you're a Democrat, you should be pissed at your party. Pissed that they do stuff like that, right? And not call it out and say, hey, look, we need a special election here, right? This woman's senile. She can't vote. How can you vote, right? You don't know what you're doing. So again, I'm going to call it out on all sides, right? I'm going to call it just as I see it, and that's what this is about. But the whole reason why you want people to come from the private sector and go into government and go back into the private sector is so that they understand, right, the effects of the legislation that they pass, okay? We have to understand something, okay? When Congress passes bills and laws and all of this garbage, okay, that they don't read, they don't live under it. They have so many exemptions, okay, that they don't know what it's like, a big majority of them, what it's like to be in the private sector. I'm going to give you an example. So, yes, Ray, yes, look, I wish the people would give these people, basically vote them out in the primary. But yeah, it's unfortunate. We need term limits because I feel, in my opinion, the voters don't do what's necessary during the primaries to get people out that are hurting the parties, the two major parties, right? So, I'm going to give you a real life example. So, I'm going to go back in time too. So here's something you're not going to hear on Fox News or CNN. Vice President Hubert Humphrey was a big-time liberal, okay? And what happened was, when he went back into the private sector, he tried to open up a bed and breakfast in Vermont, okay? Humphrey's business failed. It failed miserably, okay? And later on, after his business failed, okay, he admitted in a book, he actually wrote a book, and wrote that he had wished he understood the policies that he was voting in, how much it hurt the people, okay? And he admitted that he wouldn't have voted for half of the things that he did, okay? Now, this is what I'm talking about, right? Like I had an episode talking about all the things that we no longer make, right? Or all the things that we have to import, okay? And I'm going to go over that in a future episode. I'm going to bring that stuff back out again because the list is quite remarkable. of all the stuff that we no longer make, that we rely on other countries. Why? Why are we hiring people, right? I was on TikTok yesterday with a business owner. He was a locksmith. And I said, how many employees do you have? He says, none. It's just me now. I says, how many did you used to have? He used to have 5 people. He doesn't anymore. Why? The rules, the regulations, the employment laws, all of this, right? Because the government, okay, they punish you for hiring people, right? You don't hire somebody the right way, you get sued, right? They'll shut you down, right? And it doesn't matter what state you're in, okay? These federal laws completely handicap the employer, right? And so, when you're competing against China or India, right, you can't compete, right? Why do you think they want to bring in so many illegals? Why do you think even Elon Musk and Vivek are talking about, it blows my mind away. They're talking about bringing in cheaper labor that's $40,000 cheaper per year, right? So, again, let's bring back American prosperity by leaving us alone, right? How about you just leave us alone? So, so we have any questions? Let's see. Sadly, Biden is senile too and thinks he's done good for our country during his lifetime of government service. How many 80-year-olds in the office? It's crazy. Well, you know what, Ray? They're all in Congress. That's where they all are. They're all in the Senate, the House. They're in the White House. And no offense to Trump, but he's 82. It's like, and again, Trump has good intentions, but again, he's at that age where things start to, you start to break down you start to break down as a human being. Your brain breaks down, your body breaks down. I hope, and I'm going to say this, I say it on every episode, I am looking forward. I hope Trump has the greatest, most successful administration this country has ever seen, okay? But we have to be honest about the state of play, right? The country is in terrible shape, okay? And it's not going to get better by Congress lifting debt ceilings and, growing government or creating a new agency, right? We're not going to get there by doing that, right? We need to tell the American people the truth, right? We need to tell foreigners who loaned us money, hey, we're going to give you 60 cents on the dollar, right? We can't pay you back. Are you kidding me? Right? We can't even pay the bills we have at home. So look, but, is that going to happen? Or do we have anybody in office willing to tell the American people the truth, right? That the party's over? We'll see. But, I keep thinking to myself, after this last debt ceiling, and now they're talking about getting rid of it for 2 years. No, wait. Now they're talking about abolishing it. Completely abolishing it. And, we got the 36 trillion with a ceiling, and I put it in quotes because it's, it's just, it's not really a ceiling. All it does is sort of give people time to negotiate and whatever, but they always raise it. So it's a ceiling in name only, but we got the 36 trillion with it. Where does it go without one? So could you imagine having all 3 branches with Democrats and there's no ceiling? Because that could happen. Chase Oliver would have been great. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. Most people probably watching don't even know who Chase Oliver was. That kills me. He was great. Come on. The guy, okay, one of the best policies he had, okay, to give back, to actually lower the power of the presidency was to make an executive order to get rid of executive orders. And then he wanted to get rid of all czars. He says, where the hell is that in the Constitution? He was a lot like Ron Paul, you know, or Thomas Massey. It would have been great, but you know what? We have Trump, and now I'm supporting Trump and hoping that Trump can push back on the tyrannical left and push back on big government. That's what I'm hoping for. We all do, but that will never happen. I would put a gun to my head if all Democrats. I want Ukraine and others to pay us back. Oh, Amy, look, okay, I learned something at a very young age, okay? When money leaves your hand, right, unless it's like a secured investment or something, right, when it leaves your hand, it's no longer yours. That's why you shouldn't give it in the first place, right? Not just Ukraine. All of these people that have been sucking on our udders. I mean, these people, I mean, you know, look, I mean, think about the amount of security, okay, that we give to Europe, okay? Look, let's look at NATO, okay? I'll tell everybody right now where I stand with that. I don't want Trump going to NATO. Like, he's trying to get them to go from 2% to 5% of their GDP to pay. Everybody should pay 5%. I want zero. I want it gone. I want NATO gone, right? Look, we have an incredible military. You know, we have the most lethal military on the planet. God willing, it'll stay that way, okay? But our foreign friends, I put in quotes, right? Their militaries are ridiculous, right? It's no comparison. Maybe they wouldn't be giving out so much welfare in Germany, France, Italy, right? If they had to actually defend themselves, right? So I don't want more globalist agendas, right? I want NATO gone. I'm sorry. I want it gone. We can have allies. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, you're an ally? Great. Okay? How about when America's in trouble? Okay, where's all the money for the fires? Where's all the money? We give money to Israel. We give money to this one, to that one, to the other one, right? Our brothers and sisters, kids and daughters stationed in Germany right now, tonight. Poland, all over the place. Japan, right? South Korea, right? They're all over the place. Why aren't these countries paying for the fires? Where are they, right? They don't give a damn about you. They don't give a damn about your family. These people hate your family, right? They want to crush your family, okay? So, I don't want Trump to go there and say, oh, let's all pay 5%. Look at all the money we raised. No, you're destroying money. You're destroying personal wealth and freedom. No, let's get rid of it. Invest right here at home, and we should trade with people and have allies and basic human decency agreements, okay? But you know what? When we lose almost an entire city, okay, and these people just sit around laughing at us around the world, I'm sorry. I don't want to help them anymore. It's Congress. It's Congress, not a retirement home. Yeah, let me read some of these. It's Congress, not a retirement home, and failed legislation should come out of their personal pensions, not Social Security. Yeah, I mean, Raymond, you're 100% right. It has literally become a retirement home, a very expensive one. Oh, and by the way, you know what Congress just did? Okay? Now, don't forget, Trump has a mandate, okay, on the economy. What did Congress just do? Mike Johnson, what did he just do? He gave them a raise. And not only a raise, paid $17 million for their sexual harassment and other discretionary stuff, right? But also, they got another health care plan for themselves, right? So now they have 4 health care plans, fully paid for. Does Congress, when you look at Congress, you look at the country, look at how dysfunctional this place is. Do you believe these people deserve another dollar? Let me tell you something. In my America, if you work in Congress, you work in the government, okay? Your pay is tied to the citizenry that you work for, okay? So, when the average wage in your area goes up, yours goes up, right? All these arbitrary self-raises, several health care plans, paying for your sexual nonsense, harassing people, right? And somebody just brought up the Hegseth nomination. And I really hope Hegseth gets in there and smashes that DEI woke BS out of it, right? But there was something brought up, I brought it up the other night, was that in defense of Hegseth, a Republican had said to the dais, okay, hey, could any of, if you're saying that Hegseth cannot be in this position because of his misgivings or sexual misconduct, can any of you, would you guys live by that? And it was silent. And you know why it was silent? Nobody said, yeah, I would do it. Because they're all creeps and perverts, and which is fine. Look, it's their life. But then don't come to me telling me how to live, right? I can't go on TikTok, but you're like abusing women or men and using tax dollars to like pay them off. Come on. I mean, let's get real here. Yeah, that's right, Jim. The WHO should get no money, 100%. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I want to see Hegseth get in. Look, it's, just on the, if he could just get rid of the woke stuff, and kind of retool the military to do what it's supposed to do, which is defend and protect the country, right? No, it does not matter what the person in uniform looks like, right? All that matters is that they can do their freaking job. That's what matters. Only if the LA Fire Department knew that. DEI has destroyed both private and public sector. Yes, it has. And it's destroying everything. And let me tell you, Republicans, don't make this mistake. Wokeness is not gone. Yes, you've punched it. You're in a fight. Okay, you're in a fight, but it's not over. Okay, don't sleep on these people. Okay, they are mentally ill, and it did not go away because Trump won. Okay, these people, if they get back in power, I'm telling you. I mean, if you think, and I keep saying this, if you think Biden's bad, okay. I remember when people thought Bill Clinton was the worst thing, right? But then you got Obama, right? Then you get Biden. So what direction are you going in, right? You're not going in the right direction. I believe the next person after Biden is going to make Biden, you'll be wishing, oh my God, that Biden. He was way better. They should shut up and let in Trump's people in. Well, look, this is where I stand on this stuff as far as confirmations go. Look, I don't mind a spirited, open debate. If it's based on facts and it's based on you're not just trying to score political points. I hate what they've done to confirmations, okay? Whether if they're going to confirm a Supreme Court judge or somebody for the Pentagon or any of these things, it's turned into just a, hey, can I get a clip for TV or a click for the internet, and that's not what these here, I remember growing up and we would see, and these hearings would be on, nobody would watch them. Nobody nobody would watch them. Nobody cared, right? Because it was so boring, okay? And me, even as a political junkie, it was not even worth watching, I guess. But now you click in. Why? Because somebody's going to say something. They're going to zing the person or, own the person, as they say. It is. It's a soap opera. It really is. And that's not what it's supposed to be. Let's get down to the brass tacks, right? What are you going to do when you're there, right? What changes are you going to make? How can we make it better, right? Why are we having those discussions? How are we going to make this better as a country? I say this proudly. I did not vote for Trump. I want him to be the best president ever. I say it 100 times, right? Because I'm an American. If he does good, we all do good. I said the same thing with the last 5 presidents, right? I don't have to vote for you to wish you to do well. But if you do bad, I'm going to call you out. And I wish more people would kind of at least give somebody a chance, right? These people need free helicopter rides. Well, one thing about the government, Raymond, is that the government is very good at helicoptering in money, right? And now I'm going to go into California fires. So I've been thinking to myself, now, if anybody's noticed, I've stayed away from the California fires because everybody's talking about it, and I wanted to talk about other stuff, other things that I thought would be interesting. But tonight, I'm going to dig into it just a little bit because there's some things that are just getting to me a little bit. And one of those things is how the left can call the California fires climate change, right? How can it be climate change if they were started by an illegal with a homemade blowtorch, right? Or if fires were started by embers flying in the sky and drops down and starts another fire, right? Or downed power lines that weren't shut off because California never invested in upgrading their systems, okay? Because they were too busy putting their money towards woke agendas, right? Yeah, that's right. California is exactly what is wrong with the government. It's exactly, you sit there and, the Californians pay. They pay a fortune, okay, to live in California. Just as I used to pay a fortune to live in New York, right? My family's from the city. I grew up between Jersey City and Brooklyn. Then I moved out to Long Island. I mean, you talk about getting abused, go live on Long Island, right? I mean, it's just like in LA. All the government does there is figure out new ways to just hammer you, right? That's all they do. And so, these people, they work and they faithfully are getting stolen from every week into a government that didn't even upgrade any of the systems. Yes, that's right, Yvette. Yeah, Florida does control burns. Now, just a little history with Florida. It's funny that you said that. Because back, it might have been about 20 years ago or so, they had a Democrat governor there. Florida used to be a Democrat state, actually. And they also, at one time, had a bad fire. And they got into some real trouble in Florida many years ago. And you know what? They've turned it around. How did Florida turn it around? They put the money where it's supposed to go, right? They invested where it's supposed to go. They cultivate the land the way it's supposed to be, right? Just like they do here in South Carolina, right? The farms have fire breaks. We have all sorts of things that help stop a fire, right? Here, and like in Florida and other states, we don't care what the fireman looks like, right? We just want the fireman to do his job the way it's supposed to be, right? That he doesn't blame men for being in a fire, okay? Like the fire chief said in LA, she actually said that it's the man's fault for being in the fire. He's at the wrong place at the wrong time, you know? Well, she's too stupid to understand. Sometimes you could be sleeping and an electrical fire happens. Maybe you're in an apartment, somebody else smoking or something. You know, things happen, right? It's not their fault. Florida gets burned and ditched, Team Blue. Wonder if California will do the same. Well, you know, this is why I'm kind of dovetailing into the next story. Yeah, I mean, you know, Long Island, they do nothing but punish you there. And it's, you know, and I tell people, Long Island, New York, it's a beautiful state. California, I was there, I used to live there, was a beautiful state. These were beautiful states. And hopefully one day, normalcy can return. But I'm going to tell you what we shouldn't do. And it's just my opinion. And I know it's a controversial opinion. But the federal government should not be rewarding California voters with free cash. Okay? They're estimating the damages at $250 billion now. We're up to $250 billion. Trump isn't even in office. Okay? Not even in office. Already up $250 billion. And more damages to come. The government needs to stop rewarding people for voting badly, making bad bets, buying overpriced assets to blow up when the bubbles pop, you know, building in high-risk areas, okay? I am not for FEMA, okay? The purpose of FEMA was to help the extremely poor, right? But that's not what it is anymore. Now we're talking about, you know, rebuilding multi-million-dollar houses. You know, it's completely ridiculous, right? We should not be rewarding people who clearly made the wrong decisions. And I'm sorry, bad things happen to good people, right? It is not the government's job to keep bailing you out, right? So, I told you a story about Humphrey. Now I'm going to tell you a story about Grover Cleveland. You know, when Grover Cleveland was president, and he was the only other president besides Trump that was a non-consecutive president, there was a farming disaster, okay, in Texas. Massive disaster. And Congress tried to pass all this money and support to help the farmers. And Grover Cleveland looks it over and goes, he looks and he goes, I'm sorry, but there's nothing in the Constitution that authorizes this money to go to these farmers. And you know what happened? The people raised 4 times the amount of money that Congress was going to give. Okay? That's what happens when you allow people, the private sector, regular people like us, to step in and to help. Right? Government was not created, okay, to bail everyone out, okay? And these people in particular, and I'm not just picking on Democrats, okay? I say that about my coastal friends who get free flood, not free flood insurance, but subsidized flood insurance, right? Where we've rebuilt, there's a home that has been rebuilt 40 times, okay? John Stossel did the story on it, okay? At what point do we say, we're not rebuilding your house? You know, and oversight for California relief funds, we need it. But you know what, Raymond? Here's the truth. You know how many times Congress has put in a bill to reduce spending over 10 years, but elections happen, new people come in, and the cuts never happen, right? The same thing's going to happen here. The Trump administration is going to give out the money because it's political expedience, right? He's going to do it. There's no way Trump is going to say, no, I'm sorry, we're not going to do this. It's not in the Constitution. No, he's going to rev up the printing presses because we don't have the money. That's the thing. We don't even have the money, right? So we're going to borrow it, we're going to print it. And he's going to probably put in there, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, and you got to do that. Well, when Trump, first off, you ever try to build something in California, okay? To build a garage could take 4 years, right? I mean, to build a freaking garage, So anything that Trump puts in there, to hold California somewhat accountable, they're never going to be held accountable. But they'll get the money, Well, again, this is the thing, Raymond, we have to understand. Once the government cuts that check, it's out of their hands. That's it. It's that's why, again, I like a rule that I have, and I should make shirts. If it's not in the Constitution, we shouldn't do it. That's it. I think the private sector should come together, okay, and help these people out, okay? Do you know that there are multi-millionaires right now buying homes in the next neighborhood over or 2 neighborhoods over? There's literally bidding wars, okay, for apartments, condos, houses. Prices are going ballistic over there, okay? Most of these people do not need the money, okay? FEMA was not meant to rebuild multi-million-dollar homes. So if you're going to say, hey, let's help, the waitress, let's help the lighting guy or something, right? Okay, I can meet you there. But if you say to me, hey, Bob, Bones, we got to, we got to help out, pick anyone from Hollywood, Mel Gibson, or any of these people. No, I'm not going to build him a $20 million mansion. I'm sorry. There should be a cap, past, I don't know, $500,000 maybe? I don't know, even that sounds too much. I want to see the private sector. I want the Grover Cleveland message. I want, let me tell you what happened in North Carolina. So, North Carolina, let me tell you how bad government is, okay? So, we had the Hurricane Helene come. They came right through here. And, we got pretty lucky. But there were a lot of people around me that didn't. And there was a lot of destruction around me. But literally 45 minutes from me, their homes were swept off the ground, okay? And there was a gentleman who had a helicopter. And this guy, he was a private guy, and he had a helicopter. He was literally flying around, plucking people off of their homes. To me, I love that. I love hearing these stories. I have friends who drove up there with toiletries and blankets. The amount of stuff that I seen come from Greenville that went to Asheville was incredible, okay? You know what the sheriff did to this guy? The sheriff of Buncombe County? He ordered him to stop picking up people. If he dared go in the air again, they were going to confiscate his helicopter and arrest him. Is that the role of government? This is Buncombe County, North Carolina. Is that the role of government? To stop somebody literally plucking people off of houses? Do I think he will give to Ukraine again? Well, Amy, look, Republicans just elected Mike Johnson to the House and Mike Johnson, he supports Ukraine spending, okay? He gave Biden every check to spend on Ukraine. And do I think more money will go to Ukraine? Possibly. Probably a little more yes than no. I know Trump doesn't want to, but, you know, let's remember Trump was impeached for not giving, if I remember correctly, aid to Ukraine because Congress forced him to give it. Will Trump get in that situation again? I don't know. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. I know Trump wants to make a deal with Putin and Ukraine, Zelensky, okay? I don't want to give money. I know most of the people here don't want to give the money. But I hope not. Yeah, Johnson is a traitor. Johnson. Okay, everybody. Johnson is the king of the rhinos, okay? Johnson is the rhino, right? So if you support Johnson, you might be a rhino. You don't even know it. And that's why I can't stand people like Sean Hannity, all of these guys who, you know, they just go for whoever is like most popular, right? They're not going to tell you the truth, okay, about Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson was only leader of the House for barely 2 years, okay? He's added $3 trillion to the deficit, right? Now, he just raised spending. He just did it just now as he was being confirmed. Yeah, well, here's the thing, Amy. Communists help each other. The government destroys that. Fight the good fight. I am trying, Julie. I'm trying to fight the good fight. Oh, I'm sorry, Yvette. Communities help each other. The government destroys that. That's right. That's why I want the spirit of Grover Cleveland. I want that spirit back. You know, I remember, you know, in New York, during 9/11, I had buddies with vans and trucks, and we would go down and feed. Remember the rescuers? We would feed the rescuers, you know. And I remember looking at that big pile of burning debris, and you know, we delis. We go to the delis and place out on Long Island and drive it into the city. I'll never forget. And it was a beautiful thing. And people came together. They didn't care if you were a Democrat or a Republican, right? Remember wearing New York City, New York police hats and shirts, right? You were proud of your police. What happened? I can't believe it. You know, what, 24 years later, 25 years later, I don't even recognize where I'm from. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true. 9/11 brought so many people together. And you know, you've seen humanity at its best, you know, and I remember the Yankees were going into World Series. I mean, there was so much pride in your country, right? Young men, I mean, they stood up, right, when the country called them to go fight. You had flags on all the cars, all the houses. People were just so proud of their country. I mean, you know, and the government wasn't stopping you from helping people. Today, they stop you. They say, no, you can't do that. You know, they should not. This is not the role of government. Yeah, fighter jets. I remember that. I remember the fighter jets. I remember the military apparatus that was brought in. You know, my heart still gets heavy for 9/11. It gets real heavy. But the worst thing besides the loss of life is the freedoms that were stolen because of the reaction that the government had. You know, we turned everybody kind of into, you know, you see some say something. Remember, they had the threat levels, and everybody was just panicked beyond belief. And And, but then it turned. The elections started to come, right? We went into Iraq and Afghanistan. And then I remember the elections were coming, and that's when it started. And boy, once we got to the Kerry election, all bets were off. And it was like dynamite for both parties. And I just hate that reaction took place. I wish we could have stayed together as Americans and valued our freedoms. Because you have to remember, the government, their whole shtick was that we were attacked because of our freedoms. That's what they said. And the worst thing we could do is retreat on those same freedoms. I mean, it's funny how people don't want to remember about 9/11. They quickly forgot. If they remembered all the crap, they would not be going on. People would not be fighting of different parties, and they would be letting the illegals in. They're all a bunch of idiots because they forgot 9/11. That was a lesson we all should have learned. Well, I learned it. The patriotism. There were kids reading the Constitution, okay? They were reading the Constitution. They were interested in their government, right? People were interested in capitalism. Those buildings, let me tell you something. As a kid growing up, I remember I could look down the street, you could see them, all of this here. And, when those buildings were built, okay, there was pride in those buildings. And unless you've seen them in real life or come from that area, I know it's hard maybe to understand, but you're like, man, my uncle worked in there, or my cousin worked in there, and you're like, man, I hope I could be a part of that. Remember Windows on the World, right? Eating in Windows on the World. All of that, Take a little tour, take a little boat ride around it, whatever it was. You were proud of it, and, it just, they took that away, and that's real sad. Because as beautiful as the Freedom Tower is, you just don't have that same thing that those towers had. It's got its own thing. It's hollowed ground, but, I just can't explain that. Maybe the next generation feels a certain way. I don't know what they think. Yeah, that's right. New York City has not been the same since Giuliani has left. I mean, and if anybody's been to New York City, lived there during those years, New York City had a bad heroin epidemic, crack epidemic. You were lucky that your car didn't get robbed, or, I was joking, but it's true. Taking the Lincoln Tunnel, you're parked in traffic. One guy would be cleaning your windshield, another guy would take the hubcaps. That's what New York City was, peep shows on every corner, just drugs. I mean, it was just, and then Giuliani came around and broke up the mob and really cleaned it up. I think New York should build a statue for the guy, to be honest with you. Don't you agree? Build a statue for this guy. Because, and here's the thing. All Democrats had to do in New York, all they had to do was follow George Pataki. If anybody remembers George Pataki, he's a great governor. It was Pataki and Giuliani. If you would have just kept their playbook, I might still be there. Yeah. I might still be there. But they didn't, right? So it's really a shame. I don't know. My heart is just hard on that one. But I'm going to go into my last story. Well, my second to last story. So, Tulsi Gabbard. I know a lot of people support Tulsi. I have supported Tulsi for many years. She's kind of controversial. She was a Democrat, become Republican. And I thought, on some aspects, she could have actually been a libertarian, to be honest. But, she's really disappointed me personally over the past, I agree. I bet you would still be there, Yvette. I bet you still would, because I know I would. Long Island is beautiful. But Tulsi Gabbard did the ultimate political hack thing, which is flip-flopped just in time to get confirmed. And I don't know why this always happens. Why do people support something and then, they get offered a job in higher parts of the government and they just say, no, that's it. I just give up on my values. So what happened was, she is now for warrantless searches of people using unconstitutional FISA 702. She has opposed FISA 702 for many years for good reasons, right? We have a Fourth Amendment for a reason, okay? And the FISA 702 came after 9/11. It was one of the worst things Congress did besides the Patriot Act, which is not patriotic to spy on Americans. But now all of a sudden, Tulsi now is for FISA 702. And just so I can remind people, the Fourth Amendment protects Americans from unreasonable searches and seizures from government. Okay? And it is really the main constitutional protection that we have from government. And so, having a warrantless search and seizure of your property it's unconstitutional, right? Why Tulsi changed her opinion on this, I don't know. I hope that when she gets in, maybe, again, I don't advocate lying. Maybe she had to lie to get it, but she's really not for it, and maybe she's going to change it. I don't know. But that really disappointed me. So, again, I love Tulsi, but that really bothered me. So, please, if anybody, keep your eye on Tulsi Gabbard. Find out if she's really supporting FISA 702. I really hope not, because that really hurts. Because she was on Tucker Carlson, all the big shows, talking out against it. And so how she turned or flipped, I have no idea. I hope she didn't sell out. I hope not. Let's hope not. So, I'm going to end with the Trump inauguration. I was going to go. I just started this, I think now going on 3 weeks. And I wanted to go to the inauguration. I wanted to talk straight to voters. That was going to be like my first sort of punch into live, talking to people and, hey, why'd you vote for Trump? And then maybe talk to the other side. What don't you like about Trump? Just kind of get the feel of people. But because of scheduling, and also I was told by multiple sources, as a matter of fact, Amy had also confirmed some of what I was getting, because I have friends who were telling me don't go there because of bomb threats and FBI sweeps and all of this tyrannical stuff. It's going to be cold anyway. Yeah, it is cold. Look, I've never been to one. Like I said, I vote for the loser. I can't say that. I won one election, and the one election I won was Trump in 2016. So, I did win that one. But for the most part, and that just shows you I'm open. Hey, you put out the right plan, the right policies that I think would be good, I'll go with you. But but I wanted to go. But there is way too much stuff that I'm getting. I mean, I am getting messages and all sorts of things saying, Bobby, do not go. You know, they're going to be tracking everybody there. They're going to be surveilling everybody there. You might get swept up in something. And see, isn't that sad? You know, let's say I support Trump or I don't. I want him to succeed, right? So I'm one of those people. I didn't vote for you, but damn it, I want you to do good, right? Because I love my country, and even just to be there, right? I shouldn't have to worry about a maniac blowing the place up. I shouldn't have to worry about a shooter, right? I shouldn't have to worry about, you know, the government putting me in some weird net, right? That's not American, right? That's not, you know, let people live. Look, the guy won, right? We should be celebrating that. We should be saying, hey, let's hope this guy does good, right? Because you want the country to do good. Look, I don't like Mike Johnson, but damn it, I want him to do good, you know? It's not, you know, it's only personal when a freedom gets taken from me or my family or my neighbors. That I resent. I resent that, right? If they're passing legislation that takes something away from us, I take that kind of personal, you know, because I value our freedoms, you know? Not just mine, yours too. You know, look, as Americans, I would like to go back. Okay, there was a time, you know, we used to have chain link fences, right? And, you know, the nice thing about a chain link fence is you see your neighbor. And, you know, if you disagreed with your neighbor, right? You still, hey, you want to watch the game? Hey, you want to have a beer? Hey, you want to go hang out? Now, oh man, like I told a neighbor, even up the street right here, where I live in Greenville, I told the neighbor, I watched last year's Super Bowl. I watched it because San Francisco was in it, right? And back in 1990, when I got injured, Joe Montana was the quarterback and Rice was the wide receiver, and they were in it, and they won. And I said, oh man, it'd be cool if I watch it and all this. And the guy got mad at me. He goes, oh, what are you, woke? And all. He just started accusing me of all this stuff because Taylor Swift, I guess, was watching a boyfriend play or whatever. And I says, I looked at him, I go, are you out of your mind? I go, to call me woke? I mean, first off, you're making an assumption because I watched the game, right? I says, we're about the same age, right? He's from New Jersey too. We probably have a lot in common, right? I mean, what are you doing? Like, I only did was watch a game, right? What, I should burn in hell for that? You know, this is the nonsense that I'd like to end, you know? I'd like to find common ground on basic principles, you know? Hey, if you have a Trump flag, fly it proudly, right? You have an American flag, fly it proudly, right? Biden flag, hey, I don't know how you can be proud of it, but I'm not gonna destroy your flag. You know, I'm not gonna spit at you or give you the finger or treat you badly just because you don't agree with me. You know? Like, we don't have to do that. We can still act civil, right? But, like I said, the only time I get personal is when my freedoms are in jeopardy, you know? Would have enjoyed seeing you, but stay safe. I hope Trump will be okay. I do too. I appreciate that, Julie. Thank you, Amy. You know, so look, if you're going to the inauguration, I want everybody to please be safe. Video it. You know, share whatever you can out there. Be safe. And let's hope that Trump has a safe inauguration. He deserves it. I mean, look, what this man has been through, I mean, leave him alone. Please, God, just leave this guy alone. Let him do his job, okay? And, you know, let's disagree, but do it respectfully. You know, if you have here's the thing. If you have the better argument, right, then you shouldn't clam up and get angry, right? Have a conversation. You know, I believe conversations are a great disinfectant to lies, okay, or untruths. So we need to spread more disinfectant out there and talk more instead of going into our little boxes. But look, I love everybody. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for coming. And please like, share, subscribe. Go to my YouTube. I got a lot of videos up there now. You know, I just got on TikTok. You know, I just got 400. I'm up to 400 followers in less than a week. I mean, if you know TikTok, that is like rocket fuel. You know, and if they just give me a little bit more time, I could be doing this on there as well, right? Thank you, Yvette. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Julie and Raymond and everybody, Bill, everybody that was out there. And I want you to have a safe weekend. Have a great weekend. I'll be back Monday night, 9 o'clock. And I appreciate you. And I hope you have a great night. Thank you very much. And take care. Thank you. God bless.